Hello, this is Wmpyr. This is from the book Hank Reinhardt's Book of Knives, a practical and illustrated guide to knife fighting. Um, I really like this book. To me, it's really interesting, and this is one of my favorite parts of the whole book. Let me read a little bit right here. How anyone could be so innocent and grow up in the same neighborhood I did is completely beyond me. Once those knives are out, it's totally different from a high school fist fight. It is real and very serious. No games, no give backs. It's for every marble, all at once. If you have a choice, don't ever play. It simply isn't worth it. If you don't have a choice, however, then play tough, hard, strong, and for keeps, because it is for keeps. But as I said, things have changed. Now you stand a very good chance of a long jail term. If I harp on that, bear with me. All too many people think once it's over, but it isn't. Frequently, a 10-second knife fight kicks off 20 years of grief. So, there's a lot of things that you could learn from what I just read right now. The era has changed. Okay, so what this guy is talking about is from his high school years, you know, to today. The era is not the same anymore. Okay, and we're not talking about like 100 years. Um, so the era changing is something that you can't ignore. And I've been telling you guys that over and over again. That's why with my Filipino martial arts training, I decided that I need to change and evolve things because the era is different. Even from back when I learned it, today is not the same. So and then right here, he's obviously talking about a knife fight is very different from a high school fist fight, even back then, even today. And he's saying it's very serious, no games, no give backs, and this is the important part. He says, if you have a choice, don't play. In other words, don't freaking do it. Um, so the stuff where people are like, if this guy messes with me, I'm going to take out my knife and scare them off, is highly not recommended. Now, I know some situations, some people where they've done that and it's worked, that it got them out of a bad situation, but that's not every case, and that could go terribly wrong as well. So you have to understand that when you pull out the knife, you pretty much almost have to expect they're going to pull out a gun next. You have to almost expect that, okay? So if you're not willing to play that kind of game, then the knife shouldn't come out, all right? And then the next thing is, if you don't have a choice, however, then play tough, hard, strong, and for keeps, because it is for keeps. That part right there is another lesson, and yeah, we're all like, yes, we know that, but we don't understand it, and this is why I say it, because how many people think James Bond is awesome, and how many people think like they would love to be James Bond? How many people would love to be, any of the characters that like Chuck Norris plays in the movies? Um, for today, I'm sorry, those are kind of like older references. Today's action movie stars are different people, but those are the ones that I'm familiar with. But look, James Bond, Chuck Norris, if you really met those people and those people really existed, they would be the biggest jerks, right? You don't want to be friends with someone like that. That's someone that has nothing to lose, has lost everything, is like an animal, that a cornered animal that is fighting for their life. And that's why they're heroes that we watch. But we idolize that. We don't if you really think about it, you don't ever want to be that person, and you don't want to know that person. That person is a horrible tragedy. Yeah, they kick the crap out of the bad guy. The reality is, in real life, someone keys your car, which is nothing compared to what James Bond goes through in his movies. Okay, he's been shot at, he's been tortured. I mean, loved ones killed. Having your car keyed is nothing, but if you ever have your car keyed, you feel violated beyond anything. Okay, if your apartment or your house gets broken into, you're gonna feel super violated. But that's nothing. That tragedy, as bad as that is nothing compared to what Chuck Norris or James Bond goes through. So think of it that way. So we don't really understand this, the level of violence that we're really talking about. We go, yeah, I want to kick some butt. I want to be James Bond. I want to be Chuck Norris. I want to do that. We're not really understanding that what happens there in a movie is an immense tragedy that's glorified beyond belief. It's not reality. It's traumatic what they go through. And we don't ever see any of the negative side that they go through. And so it's easy to fantasize about that kind of thing. And that is what we have to understand, that this ain't no fantasy here. A knife fight ain't no fantasy. It is a tragedy. And right here, this last part is another thing that really backs that up. Because it says that a 10-second knife fight kicks off 20 years of grief. He's talking about being in prison for 20 years, which could easily become like pretty much your life is gone. It's done. So that is a horrible thing. Just for, I don't know, tempers got flared, or just being in the wrong place at the wrong time, and then you just thought that the knife is the answer to everything. That is something to definitely think about. So, to reiterate all this it's very, very serious. It's not a game. This is something that you should never play. And then that's number one. And then number two is, if you don't have a choice, then play tough hard. This almost, you could just, we could like remove this right there, okay? Because you got to say to yourself, why are you in this situation? That should be extremely rare, a rare, very, very rare situation that it probably won't even happen to you. Hopefully it doesn't, And if in your younger, wilder years, you've done something like this and you've gotten away with it, you have to be able to reflect and realize that, this is luck. You were very, very lucky that things could have gotten way, way worse. All right. It's very rare that you were in a situation where you really, really could justify and you really needed the knife and you saved the day. It's just, you have to really think about that. So that being said, the training, I feel like the training that I see is pretty much the opposite of this thing that I just read. It's a lot of people just, fantasizing and, kind of like playing with power. They're going, oh, I have these skills that should never be used. So they get off to that in some weird, sick way. It's not something to be proud of, but they're proud of it, and they're practicing this stuff, and they're thinking that they're special when really there's a lot more important things that they could be doing rather than stroking their own ego, because really that's what I'm seeing. And the practice of their lethal techniques, to me, kind of reflects that. So this kind of makes me sound like a hypocrite because I am a knife guy. You know, I teach knife skills. And recently, I've been watching that Alone reality TV show where they're using the knife for wilderness survival and everything, and I'm really enjoying that show, and I'm really digging the you know survival type thing, and yeah, that's definitely something I've been wanting to get into more and more. Before I was just more like just dabbling in it, and I still will be, but I want to dabble in it a little bit more. But as far as knife combat training goes, I feel like we live in the information age today. So there are the people that have the big mouths and they're marketing and they're talking about how deadly their knife skills are, and they're saying all the right things to make a certain type of people very interested. Um, and I'm not on board with that, because it's just a bunch of marketing. Um, I feel like compared to that, I come from old school martial arts training, and you know I know a lot of people kind of look down on martial arts, the traditional martial arts training, and I disagree. If you train it right, it can be very effective and very formidable. But that's the key, to train it right, and to train it right, you can't be stroking your ego in the training. The training is kind of the opposite. It beats you down. You shouldn't feel, wow, look at how awesome I am, look at how cool I am. No, the training to me constantly puts you in your place, and you go, wow, I'm really not all that. Like, um, I mean, the simple part is like, for example, I see some people on YouTube or just on social media. They're posting clips of themselves and they're doing rapid fire stuff, especially with a knife. You see this rapid fire techniques. It has no power and it's just all this super fast, quick stuff, and they think they're super cool. And I do my training and I go, I go speed too. And when I do that, I am out of breath. And it's not because they're in better shape than I am. In fact, I'm pretty sure that they're not. So the difference is in the technique. And the cardio training has to be in there. And the cardio training will humble you. And if it doesn't humble you, I think you're doing it wrong. So it's kind of like, how could you be Mike Tyson back in the day when you're training and not think that you're, this boxing god? I think the training kicked his butt. Um, Now, when he fought and he would win and he would, in the competition, and he keep winning, and then the money he's getting and the media attention that he's getting, those are the things that take you in the opposite direction where, you're going to be uh, far from humble. That's going to be the ego part, in my opinion. But the boxing training, I think, put him in his place, and that's why he trained so hard, and you have to understand that. So I want and I've been trying to as best as I can, but I want to be in a place where my training is not an ego builder, but it's an ego destroyer. Okay, so to me it has to be like old school boxing, where I remember reading in a magazine, K1 magazine. It was a Japanese magazine about kickboxing, and one of the fighters, Michael Bernardo, they asked him like, "What can you show us a technique of how we could become better at kickboxing?" And he said, "Look, you all are Japanese, so you understand hard work. He said something like along those lines, and he said it really comes down to like just doing your cardio training, waking up early in the morning and running, doing your calisthenics, doing uh, all that kind of basic boring training that no one wants to do, but putting in the time to do that, the discipline it takes for that is in the strength right there. That's what he was talking about. And as far as the techniques, to me, the techniques are it's something that you build upon. And I think that's what a lot of people are missing today. Is they're looking for, oh, look at this technique, look at that, oh, look at this style, look at that style, oh, look at the way he's doing it, look at the way she's doing it. They're just looking everywhere, trying to basically it's shopping is what it is, and it's like no, it's not about the shopping. It's about the developing. It's about the growing. That's what you need to do. And I think that is what's lacking today. So just wanted to share that with you guys. That's it for now. Thank you for listening, and take care, folks.